Welcome back to another episode of Banditland Boulevard. Guess what, Tony? I think that we flipped the script. I think
Mm,
that the Colorado Mammoth are now our sons in the Buffalo Bandits. They don't own us anymore. The Bandits
yep.
last Saturday apologized for the late recap, but they go in to KeyBank Center, a very familiar place for the Colorado Mammoth, and beat them 12-8. They got chicken winged, right, Tony? They got
Yeah,
chicken
I
winged.
got chicken
We
wing
got
too. All right.
we both got chicken wing too. Look at the Lenovo swag that I'm wearing right now. I believe Tony's got the same hat. But before we
Yeah.
even get into the game, let's just tell the fans what they missed if they weren't in the arena. They didn't see the Banditland Boulevard bros chowing down on some chicken wings, and of course, Phil from the Buffalo Sports Collective, Bandits and Sabres, Bison's Bill show. We were
Mhm.
all chowing down on wings. What'd they miss?
Well, basically, they saw or they didn't see a mouthful of wings in my mouth for sure because I couldn't even chop away at them. I wolfed on the first three or four like they were nothing, and then all of a sudden, I'm just like my brain was going, "Well, I think you did it a little overboard there, buddy," because Trevor's just mowing away at these things, and you ended up with 9 wings in 3 minutes and took home the big trophy.
Yeah, I mean it was insane.
It
The big
was fun
trophy,
though. I can't say no to free wings.
I think it's yeah, free wings are great. They
Yes,
said they were supposed to be hot wings.
they weren't.
They've been sitting around for a while. I think the sauce was just kind of like absorbed within the skin. I don't know if that makes it any, you know, if that makes it
No.
any different. It shouldn't. I got a little spice in the back of the throat that could just be because I was just chowing down as fast as I possibly could. And everyone on Facebook was asking me, "What was your strategy?" I said, "Get an early lead and hold on to it for dear
That's
life."
it.
That's basically what I was thinking. So,
I
chicken
was
wing night
trying
was
to.
great, but I was pretty confident going into it. But
Mm.
the nerves really didn't start until we were looking up at the big screen right before halftime. You're like, okay, 2 minutes left, 1 minute left. And you're like, all right, here we go. You imagine chowing down on wings in front of 16,000 fans, and everyone is like, yeah, I could do it. I can do it. I had somebody on Facebook in Bandits Mafia say, 9 wings in 2 minutes. Are you from Rochester? No, bro, that's tough. I didn't
No.
even open up the water bottle. I love getting teased though, but you know, I came home with the trophy. I got a little trophy over there too, and
Yeah.
coming in the mail is a $250 Lenovo gift card. So I can eat
Nice.
some more
Nice.
wings with that. Lugging that thing from the arena to my car, which was over in Templeton Landing. So we had to
Yeah.
pass the freaking naval park, past the ships with a 6 foot tall trophy on my
Oh boy.
back. I was getting, and I appreciate all the fans that were slapping me on the back on the way out the building in the main concourse. It was great. But I hope to defend my title next year. So if anyone on the Bandits marketing or anybody, if Mike Whitney, who gave us both the invite, we want to say thanks to Mike Whitney,
Thank you. That was
who,
awesome.
who gave us the invite to do it. That was awesome. So if you want me to defend my title next year on wing
Yeah.
night,
You
just
got to. You
hit
got no
my line.
choice.
You got my number. You got my Instagram. You got my Facebook. Hit my line because I want to do that next year. I think I'll have a better strategy next year. Maybe I can get 12. Maybe I can open up the water bottle right before the clock starts. Maybe cheat a little bit and get like maybe 13 or 14
That
down
wouldn't be considered
next
cheating.
year. I don't think it
That wouldn't
would.
be considered cheating. Oh, you could. You know what we could have done? We could have opened our water bottles and probably opened up the blue cheese before we even started. That's what they said.
Yeah.
They're like, "Oh, nobody's going for the blue cheese." I should have done that. That was strategy number one for me. Is that if you have a little extra flavor, it could probably soothe the chewing part down a little bit. But other than that, my friend Joe, that you've been on, he's been on the show with
Yep.
us before, said if you chow down on one wing, slug a little water, do it all over again repeatedly. And he said he could do 15 wings in 3 if he was to be on that bit. So
I
that's
think
one of his strategies too.
I think that Joe and me, you and Joe should go over to Barbill in East Aurora and shout out on some wings. That would be
That'd be
really good.
fun.
But also shout out to Phil as well. I know he was out there trying. I was in the
Yeah.
middle, Tony was on my left, and Phil was on my right.
Yep.
Phil from Buffalo Sports
Yep.
Collective. Um, I almost laughed, and this is nothing against Phil, but I'm on like wing number 4 or 5, and I hear Allie, who's the in arena announcer for this stuff.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
She goes, "Phil, what are you doing? Don't go for the celery." And I'm like
I
trying so hard not to
know.
laugh.
That got me too.
But yeah, Phil was just there. He was there to have a good time, and I
It's
know
for decorations
he was
only.
there trying to win. And I was listening to his game recap, and I was listening to Buffalo Sports Collective's game recap, and he was like, I felt really confident, but I got really nervous towards the end, which is absolutely valid. It's really
It is
valid. So
true.
big shout out to you, Phil. Great guy, great show over
Yes,
there.
Phil. Thank you.
And shout out to Tony who's across from me right now. I mean, I don't think it would be as special if the boys from Bilton or in Banditland Boulevard were here.
Yeah, that's right. And we got to do it, so it was fun. Um, at first, I got a lot of people were videotaping and recording, and they're like, "Man, come on, Tony, you got to start eating." And then my buddy Chris Farr, I'll give a shout out to him. He goes, "Wing eating contest is not your thing," and I go, "Yeah, probably not, never again."
I finished with
So I don't know.
nine
I
wings
had
in 2
five.
minutes.
I
Yeah,
had
Tony
five.
had 5 and 2, and I think Phil had 3 or 4 and 2. I could be
No,
wrong.
he also
Sorry,
had
Phil.
five.
Oh, he
He
had
had
5 too.
five as well.
Sorry, Phil, for undershooting your shot there. But on a night where the Bandits win 12-8, I think that was the best part of the night. Anyway,
Mm-hmm.
going in there because my family and I, we had this conversation before the game. We said, "What team do you hate the most in the National Lacrosse League?" I heard
Has
Toronto.
to be Colorado.
I heard Rochester. I hate them both. But Colorado, I
Yeah.
mean, oh my God. 2006, 2022, we'll never forgive them. The fact that we won this thing in 2023 against that team makes
Yep.
it all the more special. And the fact that we beat them 12-8, a
Yep.
game filled with physicality, secondary scoring, horse shit
Mm-hmm.
officiating, I
Oh
might add.
God. Yeah, it was bad.
Physical, secondary scoring, great outcome. At one point, the game was 8-1 on a Josh Byrne goal that was originally called no goal. We were up
Mm-hmm.
8-1 in that game. We know it's a game of runs. They started to come back a little bit, but the Bandits put the dagger in them in the fourth quarter, and the game was over.
Sure did.
Another convincing win on our home floor against a team that typically owns the Buffalo Bandits and the Colorado Mammoth. So, Tony, what were your main takeaways of the game?
The takeaways of the game was face-offs again. Ian McKay trying to do it, but again, you're facing one of the best in the game, and that's Edwards. Excuse me. And by far, he won more than half of it. And that's another thing I'm kind of concerned about is that if you're going to have possession and the first key of the game is to win face-offs, and that's hard to do, especially against Edwards.
Yeah.
McKay is not your usual guy to go in the face-off dot and win them, but he's trying. You can't give credit where credit is due, but he's trying his damnedest to try to be like Adler and consistent and trying to just keep it to what we normally would go see is like maybe a 30% to 40% victory anyway. So again, I'm not disappointed, but that's something to work on. The other keys is to be smart, not taking stupid penalties. Again, when Weiss hit a guy from behind, and
Yep.
even though the play was dead, he didn't have to really go after him, and he still did anyway because maybe adrenaline kicked in, or he had the opportunity and the whistle blew before he could know it, and then it's like crap. Another takeaway: losing Brad McCauley. God, I can't even fathom.
Yeah.
Of locking up 6 points to against Colorado, but
Heavyweight
now
player of the
losing
game,
that,
man. Yep.
that questions me. Yeah, that
Yep.
questions me
Yep.
a little bit. But now, this is where an interesting fact came along too. Is that Joe told me is that now instead of Brandon Robinson, you're going to see him on defense. You're going to see him fill the void and take over Brad McCauley's spot more. So
Which I
that's
like.
the other key thing.
It is that.
Which is
that
fine
is,
by me. He's a big guy.
Yeah.
That's what you need.
That is good to know. I was wondering, and if you guys haven't seen it, check out my knee-jerk reaction. I think we posted about an hour ago, or maybe 30 minutes ago. I don't even know. I was questioning if it was Emerson Clark's gateway, and I'm thinking, I don't know about that. If you watch the Georgia Swarm game, I mean, he was getting his feet wet in that one, but Brad McCauley is an all-around better two-way forward. He scores, fights, gets a bunch of assists. If you're going from Brad McCauley to Emerson Clark, that just makes me question everything. The fact that it is Brandon Robinson, it reassures me a little bit, that this team is back to their physical ways. I know he could drop him. I know he can score. He's a big screen guy in front of the net. He's a beast, but Brad McCauley's 6 points in this game was really good.
Yes, it was.
Chase Fraser scoring, Dane Smith finally getting back on the board again. Tehoka Nanakoke doing Tehoka Nanakoke things, scoring goals. I believe it was Dane Smith. I think he scored 2 that night, and
he got 2.
He still led the team in assists with 5. So another casual 7.9 for number 92. Boy, this game was getting physical, was getting chippy. When it was 8-1, 9-2, Colorado was taking shots at some of our top dogs, and I want to give a big shout out to Paul Dawson. You're a bum. You want to check
Yep.
our player right in the jaw, and the fact that he didn't get thrown out of the game is ridiculous to me. He cross checks
Yeah.
him right in the chin, knocks his helmet off. Chase Fraser comes back with a check to the head of his zone, because if you're gonna play dirty, we're gonna play dirty back. He didn't have any argument going to the box, while Dawson did. And not even that, Tony. It was if the Bandits had a 30-second shot clock violation, I'm
Mhm.
in 106, you're in 119. But if,
Yep.
if they had a 30-second shot clock violation in the third quarter, Ian McKay's getting a cross check, a late cross check to the back, or a late slash, and it
I
never
agree.
got called. Never got called once. The
No.
amount of moving picks that Colorado would have that night, and the refs wouldn't call it. The amount of holding penalties the refs missed.
Yes,
It
I agree.
doesn't matter, because the
No.
Bandits were so undeniable on offense, defense, and goaltending. Shout out to the Matt Vince haters. What are you going to say now?
Can't say
Another
nothing.
dominant performance against a Colorado team that I've mentioned time and time again has owned us in the past. A win in all three phases, to be cliche. The refs are still bad, still
Yep.
awful. They're still in 2023 season form, and I wouldn't expect anything different from them. But despite the Colorado cheap shots, despite everything that was going against us as far as the officiating is concerned, the Bandits took
Mhm.
an 8-1 lead, 9-2 lead. At that point, I kind of knew the game was going to be over, 7-1 at halftime. But
Yeah.
you gotta give props to Colorado for at least making it a game there in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, they have that no quit attitude, which is good, because if you go in there and still being down 8-1 and you're still fighting for goals, that shows you that this team is still scary, in a way of saying, hey, you may be up by 7, but like you said, it's a game of runs. All it takes is a good streak. And they were coming back in the third, fourth quarter. Um, that no quit attitude that they bring. And that's something you just can't look into and say that's not going to scare us as much. But you got to realize it is, because if you allow it to happen and you don't continue to press on goal scoring abilities that you had in the first 2 quarters, and you allow them to walk right in back in the game, you're going to lose a lot of games this year
Yep.
doing stuff like that. You got to just play through. You just cannot give any team a chance to perform the way that they were trying to do in the end. And they were fighting every minute in the end. And you cannot be ashamed, or you cannot be disappointed by the way they were trying to come back. And kudos to them for trying, because that made it an interesting game in the second half.
And the power plays in this game were weird, Tony. The Bandits really weren't as efficient on the power play as we've seen in the past. They went 1 for 4 on the power play.
Yep.
Colorado went 2 of 7. That just shows that the penalty kill for both teams is really, really good.
Yes.
What was really funny to me was when it was 9-2 Bandits, they get a 5-minute power play. Colorado scores 3 shorties to make it 9-5. And then when Colorado gets a 5-minute major, Brad McCulley scores to make it 10-5. So special teams was kind of wacky that night. It was a little bit interesting, something that I really haven't seen before at a Bandits game. Usually when you give the Bandits a 5-minute major, they're scoring 2 and releasing the penalty. The fact that they didn't score any, Colorado scored 1 on that 5-minute power play.
Right.
And then we go down in a reverse. We go down a man for 5 minutes, and then we score. So that was kind of funny. It was kind of getting a little bit scary when they scored 3 shorties on us to make it 9-5. I'm like, if we score a goal here to make it 10-2, maybe we score 2, make it 11-2 to release the penalty. This game is over, and we're just gonna coast the rest of the way. Games like this prove that you should never do that. Never, ever coast to the finish line.
No, because if you allow that to happen and you think, oh, yeah, we won this game, it's already over, it's first half. Yeah, first half, that's it. You just said it. So you still got a whole second half to play. There is no quit. There is no game over until you hear that final buzzer.
That's
so
right.
You got to tell yourself, you cannot stop at putting your foot on the gas pedal. If you're going to do that in the first half, that gas never stops. You don't put your foot off the gas pedal for that and hit the brakes a few minutes.
Yep.
No. You can't give them a chance to breathe. That's what I was saying to myself. And I told my friends, too, that were sitting next to me. I'm like, I got a bad feeling like they're going to come back hunting us down.
And
like,
if there was a team to do it, Tony, you know it's Colorado.
Colorado's it.
You know it's Colorado.
Every time. Yep. I just wish they would just, you know what? Don't quit, guys, because this is the way you're going to have to win games. If you have to take that early shot lead like this, But now, what are we going to see for the next string of 6? Because, like you said, I believe we have 7 games straight, no breaks.
No
So
breaks, which is good.
This could be a huge factor for us because now we're going to be in the mix, nice and oh Jesus, I forgot the word.
I
Son
think
of a
we're
bitch.
just, we're just
Consistent.
gonna
That's it.
consistent. We're on our toes. We never get a time to rest.
No.
We're always playing a game. We got
Main
Rochester
focus.
coming up this Saturday, which is going to be a tough one. But
Mm-hmm.
the way that you handled Colorado, and I mean, I made the joke, but I don't even know if it's going to be a joke. But I said on
Mm-hmm.
Facebook the other day, I said the Bandits broke Dylan Ward and the Mammoth on June 3rd, 2023. That
Yeah,
could age well.
I think they
that could
did.
age poorly, but as far as the first 5 weeks are concerned, that's aging well right now. As they're 1-3, and the Bandits are back to 500 at 2-2.
2-2.
But if you want to coast your way to the end against Rochester, in that same building you lost to last year, expect the same result. Because they had I think they had a 3-goal lead in Rochester last year going into the fourth quarter, and they lost that game. I think they gave up 7 goals in the fourth or something like that, and they lost that game. But that's our second home. That's our spring cottage. We go there, and Bandit fans, it's always 80-20, 90-10 as far as the fan base is concerned. So just look at it as another home game on the schedule.
Yeah, we're going to definitely be parading their Blue Cross Arena. It's especially going to be orange and black. It's not going to be none of this green and ugly white, whatever you want to call it. I don't know. Army green and white. But, we can be respectful about the Army green, but we cannot be respectful of the fact of the Rochester team. So
I love our troops, but, Rochester, gross.
Gross. I mean? Even though we have former Bandits on there.
Yeah. I mean, I still like Gilray and stuff like that, but no.
Connor Fields.
Yeah, Connor Homegrown Fields. Hopefully we can contain him. We're going to get into more of that a little bit on the preview coming up tomorrow. But I think we got to get into our player of the game.
Let's do it.
I'm going to go basic. I mean, just looking at this stat, though, 3 goals, 7 points, 17 freaking shots on goal. Number 22, Josh Byrne is my player of the game from the Colorado Knight.
Yeah, Burnsy has been like red hot lately, and you cannot stop him from scoring. If you go into any games basically and Josh Byrne is not scoring, you may want to reconsider who's going to be the next man to step up. But I am happy that Dane has done that and scored 2 goals finally in this game against Colorado, especially when I believe he's got Ward's number.
He's only going to get better too as the season goes on. He's only going to get better. Who's your player?
Well, I'm going to go with somebody that's always getting under people's skins, and that's going to be Chase, because Chase has gotten that mentality of scoring on the power play and just knowing when he's hot. And you know what? I'll ask for 2 goals for him every game if I need to. And that's something that you got to admire, that he is now getting himself involved more with Dane and Byrne and Kluch, is that they're getting that trust in him to say, I can create plays, I can make things happen, I can score goals. And that's nice about having Chase do that, because he is one of those guys you want on your team, and you also don't want him to be against you either, because with that grin, when he starts smiling, you know it's on, and he will screw you so bad. So I'm glad that he would be like my player of the game. So I'm going to go with Chase.
And he's an absolute fun guy to talk to at Cobblestone after the
yes,
game.
He is.
I think we interrupted him after he was hitting someone's vape or dab pen or something, and then that was so funny. So man, good time. He's a great guy to talk to. He's the epitome of, like, you love him if he's on your team and you despise him if he's off your team. I mean, Chase Fraser personally is my favorite player on the team. And just because of that factor alone, he's got the sniper ability. He's a 2-way forward. He drops the mitts sometimes.
He has to.
And he hates Colorado as much as I do. So probably more than me, because we had a little conversation about that in the bar after the game, about how much our thoughts on the Colorado Mammoth. We'll leave that up for you to decide and determine for yourselves. But
sure.
Ian McKay, while he wasn't a star in the faceoff circle, got 11 loose balls, which is great.
Yep.
I mean, nobody really looks at loose ball stats, but Ian McKay being that transition player, I hope he's getting double digits. That's always really good against the Colorado team. And Dane Smith and Matt Vince. I mean, 2 underdogs in this game that really didn't really get looked at as much, because I think the entire spotlight was on Josh Byrne.
Mhm.
Matt Vince holding another team down to under 10 goals, and Dane Smith finally getting that goal scoring ability back is huge for this team going into next week against Rochester.
Yeah, you're going to want to have Dane Smith hot, and then this is the perfect timing to do it, especially against a team that we have had their number now ever since that championship round. And this is a good confidence boost for him. And this is what Dane needs. It's probably because of the fact I'm guaranteeing you he probably had to sit down with both Josh, Chris, and Tahoka, and probably Chase, and said, hey, it's your turn to start scoring now. It's your turn to get that confidence back. We will help you along the way. And look what happens when he does. I've probably said this 1,000 times that once Dane Smith scores goals on this roster, everyone starts to contribute a lot more with him. So that alone itself is a scary, scary roster to face. And Rochester is going to have their hands full come Saturday on the 13th. But also for those who are going to the game, please be careful because the snowstorm that we're going to be getting, just take your time, get a head start, and just get there as safe as possible because we want to see you guys all there cheering on our boys in the orange and black. So please be careful driving.
Yep, and always look at like maps too. I know there's a couple different parking garages that are free, so if you don't want to pay to park, that's big. I know there's one. I think it's like a Civic Center garage where they only charge for Amerks games, and they haven't charged for Nighthawks games this season. So don't hold me to it, but it still might be free. I know they're not free for Rochester Americans hockey games, but I know that they've been free for Nighthawks lacrosse. So now that the Bandits are coming into town, they're probably going to start charging because there's going to be way more fans in the building, which I'm not sure yet, but just, always check maps, always check the pricing and stuff like that too. It's going to be great. I'm going to be there wearing Brett the Threat Bucktooth, so and nice. the Scream mask. So if you see that, give me a shout out. And Tony's gonna be down there with the box, so you can't miss him.
Of course, can't miss me at all. Can't miss any of us because we're all gonna be rowdy and crazy going down to Rochester. And boys and girls, I'm gonna say this right now because how we got in the Ward's Head, we're gonna bring that to the Blue Cross Arena, and we're gonna have a big sign for Hartley. And oh boy, I don't care if the fans boo us or not, but I know Banditland is going to help us out with that. Hartley.
Hartley is injured though, isn't he? Isn't that what I saw?
Well, I don't know.
Hartley injured?
Well, we'll have to take a look at that before we do our pregame.
That's why we do it. That's why we do a pregame, guys. See, that's why we do one. That's why we do a pregame and a postgame. But I'll be there rocking some of the vintage swag from 2008. So.
Nice.
Big stuff there. But Tony, hit us with a sponsor. Big 12-8 victory deserves a big shout out to the sponsors.
Yes, they sure do. And we like to thank, most importantly, our big sponsor, and that's Mitchell's Tavern, located at 734 Sheridan Drive up in Tonawanda, New York. If you guys want your best beef and wick and any bar foods in town, that's one of the best places to go because they got the most amazing staff you could ever ask for from any kind of bar/restaurant in town. So go out there, mention your boys, Tony Lamonica, a.k.a. Boxhead 98TL. Over there is Trevor, the Power Hour, and let them know that Banditland Boulevard told you to go check it out. So go try that, guys. And also, we would like to thank our viewers on YouTube. If you guys like what we do, please hit that like and subscribe button and give us a little bit of a rating. And you guys can always join the show and get your faces out there, too, if you guys want to give a shout out to anything that you're posting or whatnot. And also, we'd like to thank our listeners on Spotify.fm, also on Anchor, and to give us that 5-star rating. Guys, we cannot thank you enough. Every year we do this, so kudos to you for keeping our fan base up and rising.
Yeah, and that exactly right. Couldn't have said it any better. Keep your eyes peeled for the pregame coming out tomorrow. Guys, it's going to be a revolution in Rochester. I'm telling you. I call it our spring cottage. We go there and the fans invade that building every time, at least since the merger. When they turned into Halifax, they had a pretty solid crowd when the original Nighthawks were there. Yeah. But when the Army Green and Black came out, it's been Bandits all year, every single year. So come out to that game despite the weather troubles. I want to see orange and black everywhere in that building. I was there last year and it was everywhere. I loved it. Just didn't love the outcome of the game. Hopefully the outcome is going to be a little bit different. But 12-8 final over the Colorado Mammoth. The Buffalo Bandits are victorious and are 2-2, back in 500, looking to go over 500 this upcoming Saturday. Tony, I think we only got 3 words to sign off our viewers with. Well, I don't even know what those 3 words are other than Colorado got winged. I'm thinking of other three words.
Here we go, boys and girls. Here we go. Ready?
Yep.
Let's
Let's go,
go
bandits.
bandits.
Let's go.
Let's go.